guys, and welcome to my new show, Philosophy Corner with Jess. You might be wondering why I'm a giraffe. Well, that's because it's Halloween. Also, I'm a little bit camera shy, so I'm probably gonna start out kind of bad at this, but I have decided to start a YouTube channel on all the philosophies surrounding my life. And I'm going to share all of them with you at least once a week. I moved to Vancouver Island 4 years ago. I was 18 years old, had no idea what I was doing with my life. All I knew was that I wanted to be a writer. So I came to Vancouver Island University, and I am currently in my final year of studies, hoping to go to grad school to promote a thesis that says a lot of really smart stuff that I'm going to get into next week because it's taken up a lot of energy and a lot of revisions. So I'm basically starting this channel to share all of that stuff with you, and it doesn't matter to me if I reach 5 people or 5 million people. I just want to use social media as a different kind of outlet for my ideas. So primarily I study poetry. My favorite thing in the whole world other than drafts, obviously. Halloween costume, am I right? Best thing ever. So I wanted to tell you guys a bit of a funny story about how I got into poetry. So I was in the 4th grade, and we had a speech arts competition in our class, and the winners got to go off to like this really fancy seminar place or whatever. So on the day of the actual competition, I was one of the finalists, and my mom had dressed me up in like this really fleecy, disgustingly warm, choky turtleneck and dress pants. And they're like the really ugly kind of dress pants that flare like way too far at the bottom, and it was just ridiculous. Basically, I stood there. I was terrified. My arms were like this, like down at my sides. I thought my feet had to be like pointed straight at the audience, and I didn't even move. The only thing that moved were my lips. Oh, and to top it off, I had that hair, you know, where you have it like in the ponytail with the little clip at the back, and it was like a little fluffy dog tail. It was awful. But I just remember I read this poem, Haunted, by Shel Silverstein, and it was the first poem that I had actually managed to memorize. But I was so terrified of forgetting the lines that I didn't even know like how to move or anything. I was like, don't start shaking, don't forget the words. I worked so hard on it, like little 9-year-old me, probably like this tall, just standing there, don't look at the audience. And the last line is supposed to be funny. So I paused so long for just the right moment, and I kept asking my mom before I went on stage. I was like, do you think they're gonna laugh? Do you think they'll laugh? Because I have to deliver the line just right because I want everyone to laugh. And of course, they laughed. I'm hilarious, clearly. So I figured, since it's a haunted poem and it's Halloween, oh gosh, this was what, like 14 years ago that I did this? I'm gonna bring it up online and I'm gonna read it for you guys and attempt, very poorly I might add, to reenact what it was like to read my first poem to a public audience at 9 years old. So, Haunted. I dare you all to go into the haunted house on Howland Hill, where squiggly things with yellow eyes peek past the wormy windowsills. We'll creep into the moonlit yard, where weeds reach out like fingers, and through the rotted old front door, a-squeaking on its hinges, down the dark and whispering hall, past the musty study, up the winding staircase. Don't step on that step's bloody. Through the secret panel, to the bedroom we'll slide in, to the ragged, cobweb, dusty bed 10 people must have died in, and the bats will screech, and the spirits will scream, and the thunder will crash like a horrible dream, and we'll sing with the zombies, and we'll dance with the dead, and we'll howl at the ghost with an axe in his head. And come to think of it, what do you say we go get some ice cream instead? So that was basically my entire performance, and you know, I got super animated at the like howl at the ghost with the axe in his head, because I was a really weird child, right? And this was in September when we picked these poems, and we were reading them in probably April or May. So it wasn't even like I had to do a Halloween poem. I was just a super weird, messed up child. And I flipped through probably like 15 different poetry books that day. And of course, my mom was like thinking probably, out of all the poems you could have picked, you had to pick that one. It was great. I had so much fun. And thinking back on it, it's like that probably should have ended my poetry career, because just looking at those pictures, so embarrassing. But no, it actually got me started with my poetry, and since then I've gone on to write almost 1,000 of my own poems, and I see poetry in everything I do every day, and I'm studying poetry in university, and it's probably my favorite thing in the whole world. And I've got like 500 poetry books on how to write poetry, and I'm just absolutely in love with my poetry professors, and everyone here is just so wonderful, and I've had so many opportunities to learn amazing things with the art of language and the craft itself, and I can't wait to end up getting a PhD in poetry one day. So, you might have noticed handy dandy pumpkins over here. Since it's Halloween and since it's my first video ever, we've decided to do a segment. Please, please let me be safe. Of me carving pumpkins with full-size knives, and we are gonna see if this turns out really good or really bad. Let's find out.